Hello, everybody, and welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it is time for our Halloween painting progress. No, I mean, yeah, it's Halloween, at least when this got posted, so happy Halloween, everybody. Hopefully you are all celebrating and enjoying it as you may. I am sulking around due to the fact that I did not ever get around to getting a Bloodborne costume together. I swear one of these days I am totally going to have a hunter costume. I would absolutely. Anyway, okay. So, we're going to start things off. I got some stuff from my brother. This nice little dwarf here, painted up in some squat type colors, isn't actually a dwarf at all. It was part of Kyoushuniko's weird war line. And he's a little on the short side. Obviously, just based on the video right now, you can't really notice, but let's grab some other guys and you'll see what I mean. So here is a Papsicles Space Rambutan. I love that word, Rambutan. So he totally matches up with him. They're pretty close in size there, are they not? So when I grab another Kyoshi Neko model, you can see our Samurai here is a good head or two taller. Obviously, these guys are scaled more at 32mm, where these are actually more at a 28mm size. So, like, for example, with a Stargrave figure, it's going to fit in a lot better. And this, I believe, is intentional, more due to the fact that they're going to be kind of like with bolt-action type figures. Because, I mean, even like the Wargames Atlantic Historicals are going to be a little bit larger. Then again, this guy's on a smaller base. So, I don't know. Definitely some fun figures. This is part of their American faction. I know in November, which is tomorrow, when the day after I post this, so you might want to take a look if you're just watching this now. They were supposed to have like mad scientist Russians or Germans with zombies and werewolves. So if you're in need of 28mm World War II, Weird War II zombies and werewolves and mad scientists, might be something worth checking out. Along with plenty of samurai stuff. I know they are continuing to fill in the ranks of various samurai. I think next month's supposed to be more of the Ona Bugeisha warrior women. Let's see what else we got. Alright, well, if it's something from Sparkle Trout, then chances are it's going to be something from Bestiarum, which is exactly what this is. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. It doesn't matter. Look at it. It's just crusty and covered in pussy weird stuff with some kind of barbed shield, and I don't know what's going on under the cone head there. Man, they make fun models. Next month I saw they were going to have a skeleton ball. I can't wait for that. Be like flashbacks to fighting the Grand Falloon. Let's see, our friend's getting kind of short there. And in addition to that, he painted up really quickly one of Cyberforge's, oh god, I don't even remember what they're called. These were like their rivals for Star Force, which was their Star Trek style figures. And I guess these are like their Borg type models, which I thought was kind of cool. You've got like this shriveled up, skinned human body with the brain exposed. So they had a bunch of different versions of these guys. They had like a conveyor belt maneuvering base thing that had people getting flayed and, you know, slapped into armor and stuff, along with modular Star Force crews. If you're into the Federation type figures, they had a whole selection of various away team types. So something to keep an eye on, along with a shuttle. I did print a shuttle for Sparkle Trout, so hopefully he will get around to getting that painted. We can show it off there. Cyberforge has been on a roll of interesting stuff lately. I gotta give him credit. So that's what he's been up to. I have been up to rats. So these guys come to us from Gamak. And I know my painting is nowhere near Sparkle Trout's, but it's painted, so bleh. But he was doing a full-on set of samurai or East Asian, Japanese themed rat army. And who am I to say no to that? So printed up a bunch of these. And what's weird is they're modular, but not exactly. Let me show you why. So here's our first one. And here is our next one. Looks decent other than the fact that he's a little bit glossy still. And I need to touch up some of the skin there. He's also substantially smaller than his buddy, which is kind of cool. You know, it gives you a nice sense of variance. But then when I bring on this guy, I was trying to make the poison, the weapons, much more ninja style. Do you notice something happening here? There are all sorts of inconsistencies in terms of their native printing resolution. So unless things are, you know, later on updated, it's going to definitely take some tinkering, but I do believe that you could probably get all these guys totally modularized, if that's even a word. You're just going to have to figure out the exact scaling for everybody, because it's like every time I print one, they're at a totally different size. And I guess that isn't a bad thing if you're printing one at a time, but when I was printing like 6 or 7 of them and I got all their parts mixed up, and I mean, some of them look okay and some of them it's like, I don't know. Like his Oni mask there. Yeah, his tail is a mess. I'm going to have to fix that. I don't like it. But again, you can see there's just some scaling inconsistencies, which sucks because I think if everything was set at the same level, this would be an awesome set, because then you could totally just go nuts making a whole assortment of random, you know, ninja rats. They did have some very Ashigaru peasant infantry type rats in there as well, and who knows, we had a Hattori Hanzo, but I swear they should have had Rattori Hanzo, but anyways. I think they would go pretty well with some of the resin warfare guys. These are totally modular as well. And while they don't have ninjas, I think they have some of the neatest looking assassins. So if you want to have them all mix and match, it is going to be a fun little warband, little being the key term there. I don't know if I would go to the length of printing an entire army, but that's mostly because getting all those little tails, I can't stand it. I did a horrible job removing them from the supports. They're just too little, but they're pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have. I also broke a ton of them. That kind of pisses me off more, which is probably why I'm so negative about them right now. I broke 2 of my mages. I broke all of the regular samurai guys. And it's not Gamak's fault, it's me. I totally snapped off the parts when I was moving them around. I'll take the L on that one. Alright, another of the RN Studio fancy JRPG aesthetic Neo Kingdom figures. Now, I know my painting ain't that great, but I love the design, I love the style, and I'm sure if I really wanted to go all in, we can come up with even nicer colors on the layers. And what's funny is, at the time I was painting them, I thought these guys were going to be like exactly the same, so I'm kind of happy that they are a bit different. There is a third Sword Brothers, Sword Saint type model that I am almost finished up with, and hopefully he will continue the trend of looking similar but not quite, because I think that's cool. I want them all looking a little bit different. I think there was a bit more variance in the figures of the first campaign. And I know I painted more, but these are just the ones that I have handy. I really enjoyed them. I think these newer ones especially, a couple of them, even from the first series, are starting to kind of get towards that Chinese wuxia aesthetic that I really would like to see on the tabletop more often. And I think if anybody is going to eventually get to cracking it, it's probably going to be either RN Studio or Raging Heroes. Too. I don't know why they haven't yet at this point, but, you know, they'll do what they got to do. So if you haven't had a chance to look, I don't think he is available yet outside of the Kickstarter stuff, but will eventually probably show up on My Mini Factory, which you might want to take a look at. Maybe they'll have printed copies. Something that always bugs me about RN Studio is if you don't get their stuff right away, you don't get the pre-supported versions. And I mean, they are pretty reasonable in terms of their cost, but I really wish they would offer more stuff fully pre-supported, because usually their supports are just like, and then they're off, you know. And speaking of RN Studio, we had the good guy, might as well print up the bad guy, right? So we have the one-winged angel himself, Mr. Seth E. Roth, in his Kingdom Hearts garb there. It came out okay. I notice his wing is supposed to be kind of bluish in the game, so we try to do some highlights, and his face came out awful. And I know it's super zoomed in, but I'm not super pleased with it. It's just smeary, cakey. I'm not happy. Or his sword, for that matter. His sword's like, look, it's all kind of weird and distorted. I don't know what's going on with the geometry there. Obviously, if I don't point that out, it's not a big deal, but I do notice those little things. I tried heating it up, too, and it didn't really do much. And there's little support leftovers there. But, you know what? From a distance, I don't think it's going to make that big a difference. Funny enough is I'm actually printing up some of the stuff. Erkman's did a bunch of actual Kingdom Hearts bad guys, Heartless and bosses and stuff like that. So I'm thinking eventually I might as well just continue the trend here of various video game related characters, because I like it. And it wouldn't be Halloween without one of my favorite types of models, and you guessed it, more Kingdom Death. Even though I just put it up yesterday, I literally have had that video sitting there for a year almost for the Halloween Survivors 2. I am just as curious if you are today, if any new ones are going to show up. But I did manage to get the very last one done, the Screaming Antelope. Did I do the best job on her? Not really. I thought the pink came out pretty decent on the fur. Could I have done a better job on the other areas? Absolutely. I know it's super zoomed in, and I don't care, though. And I probably should go back and touch up the candies. They're all, like, purple at the moment. Her face isn't the most nicely painted. I probably can go back and touch up the ram head. Oh, I got red on the bone stick that she's holding in her hand. I should fix that up. Get the rest of the crew here with her. And despite my average paint jobs, I gotta say I am quite pleased with just how colorful they are. I think it was a really fun set. Much more so than the first one even. And I really liked the first one, but these I think were just way more dynamic, way more interesting. If anything, I would probably go back and pin one of her legs just because she's in such a weird pose where they're both kind of barely touching the floor of the base. Whereas our Gorm friend here, not as much of a problem. So who knows if they end up showing up on the web shop, you know, I'd say get them. I thought they were a fun kit. Definitely something fun and different to paint. And that should wrap things up for me. I gotta say it was a pretty productive week in all. Looking forward to going out with my kids and go trick-or-treating since they are determined to. And I gotta hopefully get started on getting some stuff painted as well. As always, we'll have those links down below if you want to take a look at any of this yourself. And hopefully you guys are going to find something as exciting and as interesting, and you're getting your stuff just as thoroughly painted up as we are here. So with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.